Hey guys, my name is Raffles and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm starting off with a new series called Game Guidance. During this series I will be your guide through the big maze called gaming. So basically I will review games and tell you if you should avoid them or play them. Or consider playing them eventually, not everybody just instantly gonna play them. Now, the games I will be reviewing will all be games I have played, so I have some actual experience with them and won't just be spouting nonsense. But I will try to be as objective as possible. I won't say, oh, you must play this because it's my favorite game. No, I will hit you with the facts about the game, the summary, and then guide you in your decision. So, today's pick, Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Now, I know what you're all thinking right now. Yes, Witcher 3 is super popular and a lot of people recommend it. A lot of people have played it before. But precisely for the reason that so many people have played it and recommended it in the past, I want to review this game because most of those opinions are, what they are, opinions. And they're just saying, oh no, you must play because I really like it. And they never say why or why you shouldn't play them. So I'm gonna try and say today why or why not you should play this game. So, let's just get to the summary. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt got released originally all the way back in 2015 by CD Projekt Red, who you might know from Cyberpunk 2077. It's a single-player action RPG that features a pretty big story, open world with a third-person perspective, and it's set in a medieval setting. Now, it's a fictional world with monsters and all that stuff, but it still brings those medieval vibe with castles and horseback riding and all that stuff. Now, in this game, you play as Geralt of Rivia, and he's a witcher. Your objective is to find your surrogate daughter, Ciri, and doing so you encounter loads of people, monsters, plenty of obstacles, and the story leads you across 3 different maps, which are all open world, and which you can travel back to at any given point. Now, this was a very simple summary of this game. It's of course more complicated and bigger than that, because Witcher 3 is probably the biggest story or one of the biggest story games you'll find out there. Although your objective is very simple, and it might not sound like it could take a while or that impressive, but it's quite the opposite actually. Much like other stories like books, movies, games, all that stuff, you will rarely have a straight road. You always have to take a bunch of sideways and corners and run around the same thing 3 times before you can get on with the main objective. And this game mastered that concept pretty good. In its story, it will guide you through the same places a lot, bring you back to cities, and guide you through the biggest parts of the map before you actually continue on with the story, which you'd expect from most story games. I don't think there are many story games that are just one straight road. At least not ones that aim to be a longer experience. Now, during your search for Ciri, you'll have to clear many different tasks and objectives for people to get some information. This is part of the sidetracking the game sets you on. You have to get stuff from people, and those people would only give you that stuff if you do something from them, and all that the classic stuff you see in movies and games all the time. Now, this alone will easily keep you entertained for around 53 hours, and that's just doing the main story. Beside the main story, this game also offers a lot of side quests and many variations, map explorations, and 2 additional DLCs. Now, if you would go for the main stories and all the extras, you'll be set back around 105 hours. If you would actually be a completionist, that's more gonna be 180 hours. So in short, this game offers a lot of content and it's gonna keep you busy for a while. Now, this can be a positive and a negative, so that will be the first pointer for this game, whether or not you should play it. Not everybody likes longer games or just simply doesn't have the time to play them. And if you don't have the time to play a lot, I don't think you're gonna be invested in a long game that much or enjoy it that much if you gonna have to play it for a year straight because you don't have that much time. It's not gonna be the same experience as somebody that has the time or has the dedication or just likes long games in general. Now, Witcher 3 also has many additional features. like one would expect. This game isn't just a simple hack and slash story game. It's a bit bigger than that. Witcher 3 offers you crafting. It has a buy and sell mechanic with many different merchants and traders. It has a skill tree. There is a mini game you can play. And you have mini-map and meditation. Now, crafting and the mini games are completely voluntary. You don't have to do them at all to be able to beat the main story. Now, could be that like at some point in the story somebody is gonna introduce you to the mini game, but apart from that, or like crafting, apart from that you don't really have to do it. It's more like fulfilling your game experience or get like different armors, weapons, potions, all that stuff. Now the mini game is a card game called Gwent, where you basically put like cards that have damage and effects on the board and try to win 2 rounds from your opponent. That's just a simple explanation. It's a bit harder, there are a lot of different cards out there, but it's a bit hard to explain if you haven't really played it. So I'm gonna just leave it out there. There is a card mini game. If you're into that, you're into that. If you're not, you don't have to care. The buying and selling part is sort of optional. There's at one point you're gonna have to have a lot of money for a quest, because you have to gonna be able to buy a bow. And to get that money, you definitely gonna have to do a lot of looting, killing, and selling. Most likely. So, although you might not need it, if you just like kill a lot and loot a lot, you might be able to rack up the coins passively. But I think most people will have to like sell stuff and maybe craft and sell that stuff. So keep that in mind. The skill tree is not a must, but as you know, most casual players will enjoy using some skills to make it a bit easier or just to complete your experience in and broaden your combat. Now, onto the most controversial mechanics of the ones mentioned earlier. The minimap, first off. Some people don't like minimaps because they think it makes it too easy. But in this game, you kinda need it at some point. Like, sometimes you just have to walk such a long distance, or there's like one path that you have to find, like that's hidden behind something and where you need to use a skill on, or like there's this little hidden parkour thing that you have to do, and then the minimap can help you a lot. Or there's like a cave. Sometimes it also is a curse, because if you need to be in a cave, it sometimes will point you above the cave instead of the actual entrance, when it's like, find this thing in this area. So you have to see for yourself if you think that's a bad thing or a good thing. Now, you obviously don't have to use the minimap, but I mean, you're just kinda gonna need it to be able to know where you're gonna go. Now, the last controversial mechanic is meditation. In this game, meditation is a mechanic where you can skip time with. Because for certain quests, you're gonna need to be able to wait till morning or evening. But on certain difficulties, this also heals you. And not everybody would want to use it as a heal method, because that can be a bit cheesy. It's a lot easier that you can have like a free heal after every fight. I mean, you don't have to do it, but it's there. Combat in this game is simple but solid. You have your sword that gives you like your standard sword attack pattern and your choreography you'd expect from a medieval sword fighting game. Next to that, you have your powers. And in this game, your special abilities take the form of signs and skill tree. Now, the skill tree are like a bunch of things that combine with signs and your normal attack and your movement and all that stuff. So you just have to like look through the skill tree to see like what enhances. There are a bunch of skills, and I'll note it's impossible to have all skills. I'm pretty sure you can only have like, you have to like be picky. Now the signs, they are there standardly, and sometimes you're gonna have to use them in the story as well, or for side quests of that stuff. Now, these signs consist of, first, there are 5 signs. Let me point it out first. So the first one is a shockwave ability. It like staggers and knocks enemies down. It can help you like knock a flying enemy down, knock somebody off their horse, that type of stuff. But it can also be used to open doors, blow out fires, and punch through cracked floors and walls. So it's like a kinetic shockwave. Now, its alternate form is like a wider shockwave. You aim at the floor, so it's more directed at like battling versus multiple foe. The second ability is a fire blast. It can light enemies on fire and do damage over time with it. Some enemies are highly vulnerable to fire, some aren't. Next to that, it can also turn on candles, campfires, and ignite flammable gases. This alternative form is more like a flamethrower instead of like an actual blast. Now, the third one is a trap. It's like a circle you place on the floor that can do knockback, do some damage, and status ailments, but mainly it will slow the enemy. And it's one of the main ways to defeat one specific enemy as well. This also has an alternate form. Fourth one is a shield. The shield is basically some damage absorption that mainly will tank like one hit, but this one hit might not seem that much, but it can keep your stamina intact, and like that one hit can always be clutch, you never know. Last form skill is telepathy, and it's more like a charm and confusion type deal. But the most use you get out of this is like stunning somebody in battle so you can get like an extra hit, or if there are multiple foes. And in conversations, because you can, if you have it high enough level, you can do certain options in a conversation that'll give you the advantage. Next to that, it can also be used to calm down mounts when monsters are nearby and they are kind of panicking. Now, next to the sword fighting and these abilities, you also have a handheld crossbow, but this is mainly used to like shoot at the flying monster to make sure they land on the floor or on the ground. It doesn't do that much damage. It's not like an actual mechanic you're gonna use in battle, unlike the others. During dialogue, you will usually be offered multiple options. Due to color indications of the dialogue, you will see if they are informational or influence the story and dialogue. Now, informational dialogues basically just enriches the player's knowledge of the world and situation they're in, and like know more about characters and all that stuff. Now, the influential options have a real impact on that situation, that conversation, and the story in general, and also your relations with people. A lot of events in this game are optional or have alternatives, so you must be aware of that when you pick options, because sometimes you just won't unlock them. Now, all these influences also reach till the very end of the story and can influence your ending. So you always have to be very careful and think about what options you're gonna pick, so you don't like screw yourself. Now, the optional and alternative storylines can include a lot of things. There are some people where you build your relationship with will show up later in the story, or they won't, due to your options. And sometimes you will just unlock battles or other scenes that you won't be able to unlock otherwise. The most popular of these ones among the player are romance scenes with female companions. There are a bunch of female characters that you can have a good standing with and eventually have a romantic evening with. So if you're somebody like me who enjoys that plentiful, that's like an extra pointer to look out which options you pick. Like makes you think more from which option would be the best in this situation. So as many things in life, this game has positive and negative aspects to it. So let's talk about them. Now, this game basically doesn't have any factual negative points to it, apart from that the combat is a bit generic. Like just the sword fighting is just akin to a lot of medieval games. Most other points you could see as negative are more opinion based, because you like same with certain positives. Like it's gonna depend on the player if they like it or not. I listed some that I think the most casual players would see as negatives, or could see more likely as negative. And those being the longer story, the minimap and meditation mechanic, the amount of loot, and the generic combat I mentioned earlier. Now, the story, the minimap meditation, and the loot, that's all like, do you mind it, do you not? Because they all offer extra things if you're open-minded about it. Now, the positives are more like factual, like it offers a lot of content and a lot of side content. Even if you're not a big fan of longer games, it's never too bad to get more stuff for your money. Because like when you bought this game back on release, it costed the same as any other AAA game, but you got like so much more content out of it than compared to other story games. Now, if you like it better, that's your opinion, that's different, but just having a lot of content that's solid is a positive. It also has sex scenes and romance options and multiple choice and influences in story endings and relationships, which is also, I would say, good for most people's liking. I think that the casual gamer enjoys having some say in their story more than always having the dictated paths most average games have. It's also open world, which I would say is a definite positive. Like, you don't have to explore everything, but you have the option. Having options is always better than having no options. There's also a good amount of variety in your enemies and the characters that the game has. It's not like the same 5 personalities you see back and like the same 5 monsters in different colors. So that's a big plus up as well. And biggest positive is right now the game is pretty cheap to get. You probably can get the Game of the Year edition with the base game with the 2 DLCs for under €10 or under $10. So like that's not much compared to how big the game is and how many people like it. And it has a Game of the Year edition. Paying less than $10 for your game is a good deal. Now, my overall opinion, this game is definitely a recommendation if you like story or open world games. But you always have to keep in mind that it's pretty long and it has some mechanics you might not like that much. So I would say get it if you're somebody that can live with the negative points or don't even think they are negative points. And yeah, if you think they are a bit too annoying, just think about it. Maybe wait until there's like an additional sale that it's like extra cheaper. Worst case scenario, you just have something for your collection that most people like and enjoy. So like, unless you really need those €5. But anyway, I would say get it. It's overall a really good game. And most controversial points are more opinion based than actual factual points. So, but anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope you liked it. I'm definitely gonna do more reviews. Be sure to leave your feedback on which games you want to see me do a review, or if you want to see me try and make a review on a game I haven't played and see how I fare, how close I get to it being accurate. Leave it all down below. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. Feel free to drop a like in the comment and subscribe if you want to see more of my videos and like this series. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. See ya. Peace out.